How's it going, guys? And I'm here with a review of Sonic Prime. So I asked my subscribers, what would you rather see first here on this channel? And surprisingly, people voted for Sonic Prime over the Knuckles series with what I would call a landslide vote. 78% going to Sonic Prime and 23% going to Knuckles. So that was pretty surprising. I didn't expect that. And guys, I want to just thank you. You know, we did one video before this, doing a video on tipping culture. I am so honored and feel so beloved here to have fans actually returning 80 votes on a poll. Just a poll. I know that's not a lot for a lot of other YouTubers, and people will go, oh, 80 votes. They would scoff at that and say that's nothing. But for me, being a smaller YouTuber, to have people stick by me over all these years and all the great comments, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for all the love and support you have shown. And I'm back, guys, and here we go. Without further ado, here's my review of Sonic Prime. So, Sonic Prime is good, but it lacks certain things, keeping it from being truly great or amazing. This is the 6th Sonic cartoon of all time. We've got Sonic Sat AM, The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic Underground, Sonic X, and Sonic Boom. And this is the 6th one. All of these cartoons very different. And Sonic Prime is no different. This time around, Sonic is not voiced by his game voice actor, Roger Craig Smith. Instead, we've got Canadian voice actor, Devin Mack. And before we get too far into it, I have to say that this show definitely gets a tremendous amount of praise from me for effort, the story, the characters, and the multiverse. But as I said, there are problems. One thing being, multiverses aren't my thing. Now remember, this is strictly opinionated because this is my review. This is not your review. And that means I'm going to give my opinion. So if any of them offend you, well, that's too bad. So I feel that multiverses are kind of annoying. They're a little lazy, even if they are a little interesting at times. But I feel like multiverses are just a way of dealing with messy franchises. But this is sort of like a mess that's like self-imposed, because it's not like we're seeing like classic Sonic from Sonic Generations. Like, that was a good version of doing a multiverse, right? This is something a little bit different, but it'll make more sense as we go on. So the Paradox Prism shatters in Green Hill after a battle between Sonic and his friends and Eggman. Sonic accidentally shatters the prism. Yes, it's actually his fault, and that leads to the Shatterverse being born. So now Green Hill becomes Ghost Hill. It's removed. All the original characters are now stuck in stasis, and they're like ghostly images of themselves. And now we've got new locations that Sonic now has to travel to, and he has to look for the shards of the prism and put them back together so he can make things right. Now, first off, this is the first time we're ever seeing Green Hill in a Sonic cartoon. I had to like sit back and really think about that. That is really historic. All this time, and we never saw Green Hill before in a Sonic cartoon. See, this is what I'm talking about. We're already off to the multiverse. We haven't even gotten fucking Green Hill in one of these shows before. We were always in Knothole, on Mobius, all these different locations, and that was always fine and well. But yeah, we never really got to really see any true levels from the game. We got to see like Station Square and Sonic X, but you get what I'm saying. So, the first location that Sonic travels to is New York City. This is home to the Chaos Council. It's 5 different Eggmen. You know, I like the Chaos Council. I like all the different personalities. But I know it's been done to death. But I couldn't help but feel wanting the original Dr. Eggman, voiced by Mike Pollock. We've got Mr. Dr. Eggman. We've got an elderly version of Eggman with Dr. Dunnett. We got Babbles, a little baby that somewhat communicates in English, sort of, but he's basically babbling. We've got Dr. Deep and Dr. Don't, who is an emo version of Eggman. So each one of these is a version of Eggman, and they all bring something to the table, more or less, but they're not very fleshed out. We never really feel like we get to know these individuals and their origins and how they feel about working together. I mean, they do argue, but it never really gets that much deeper than that. Dr. Deep. These characters definitely could have benefited from some time put aside to tell the backstories, but as you'll see, the series gets too hung up on action to concentrate effectively on some of these characters, and this is a very good example of that. And although we don't have Mike Pollock, some of these characters are actually voiced by Brian Drummond. Yes, Vegeta from the Ocean dub of Dragon Ball Z, remember that? Yeah, it was nice to see him back, but we've got the Chaos Council here, and they're looking to capture Sonic because he's been infused with the Prism energy from the Paradox Prism, and they want to suck the energy out of him, and now they want to look for the shards themselves. And Sonic runs into alternate versions of the main cast. He meets Rusty Rose, who is an evil roboticized version of Amy Rose. He meets a cybernetic version of Tails named Nine. He's made himself basically into a cyborg, now having a total of 9 tails. Renegade, who is a rougher, tougher version of Knuckles. Just when you thought that Knuckles couldn't get any tougher, we meet Renegade. So it's very interesting seeing New York City because it looks a lot like Robotropolis, because basically the Chaos Council has taken it over. And I like any kind of throwback to the Archie comics and Sonic Sat AM, and this was definitely what we got here. And I couldn't be more grateful for that. You know, I like that it's inspired. So here's the thing. Sonic travels to other Shatter spaces, which are other worlds within the newly formed Shatterverse. And don't worry, because we won't be here long. We already talked about one of them, New York City. And there's only a handful more. We've got the Boss Cage Maze, which is just kind of like a jungle. You know, there's savage versions. We've got Thorn Rose, another version of Amy Rose. You know, there's not really like a lot to the Boss Cage. It's kind of just a generic jungle. There's like not really a lot to see here. You know, there's not really a lot to it. There's no maze present, for example. And that's a bit of false advertising if I ever did see it. It's like, Jungle doesn't even have any interesting set pieces. But Thorn Rose is a good depiction of Amy Rose. It's a savage version, she's a leader, and that was nice to see. People have been making arguments that she's been an underappreciated character for years, and Sega's been doing a lot to try to bring her back into the limelight. And this is an example of a form of media where Amy Rose is being featured prominently. Then we've also got the pirate world, No Place, and it really feels like No Place. All you see is the seemingly endless water, Dread's ship, and the little island that the shard lands on in one of the episodes. And I get that it's a pirate world, but yeah, it's just water, a pirate ship, and an island. That's a bit drab to me. That's even drabber than Ghost Hill. So that was very disappointing to me. The bright side of this is we do get Captain Dread, which is a pirate version of Knuckles. And he is extremely selfish. We see how he puts himself above his crew, and he really has it in for Sonic because all he wants is one of the Prism Shards all for himself. And he does have a pretty good redemption arc of overcoming that selfishness and realizing that he should be taking care of his crew and everybody that has helped him out along the way throughout the story. And we get to see the Grim eventually, you know, and that is not really much to speak of. That's just kind of like a battlefield. So it is really just a matter of Sonic going back and forth between these places, fighting the Chaos Council, And I'll tell you something, the first season is great. I like being introduced to all these new characters. But from this point on, in the second season, it really is just so much fighting back and forth. It's just like one battle after another, and my God, it's like, it's exhausting. After a while, things just kind of blend together. And the only thing that like really kind of stood out to me, like as far as all these fights after a while, was the fight against another different version of Metal Sonic called Chaos Sonic. That was the only really standout. But I would love for things to be slowed down more in this show and add more story elements. Now, I know this sounds rather negative, but the animation is great, and I do enjoy the fight scenes. It's just a little too much. Really. I mean, Sonic is one of those series I feel like they can get away with a lot of dialogue. Yes, it's a fast-paced game and all that, but Sonic has always been about stories, ever since the Dreamcast days, Sonic has always had a story to it. And, I feel like they could have really benefited more here. It seems like these guys they were looking at the Archie comics where things are like totally bananas. And I really like that, being a big fan of that type of storytelling when it comes to Sonic. But man, I just feel like things just got a bit too out of hand here with the action. I mean, I get it, it's a predominantly an action cartoon, but there's also some dramatic elements to it as well, but I would have liked to see more of it. So where things really start to get out of hand as far as the action, it's definitely Season 3. Holy shit, Season 3 is just an endless fight with Nine. Now, Nine is a great character. I really do enjoy what they did with Nine. Nine has been wronged in the past. He's been bullied, which has kind of led to him like putting on extra tails and relying more on his smarts to get him by. He's a rougher and more tumble version of Tails. And he's not very trusting of Sonic at first, but Sonic wins him over. Sonic basically ends up insulting Nine when Nine realizes that Sonic wants to put the entire multiverse back together the way that it was, and Tails wants something different. He wants the Grim to become everything. He wants it. He wants to live there. He wants to create it and have a place for him and Sonic to live together. But Sonic does not want that, and this angers Tails, and Tails just ends up creating a bunch of endless robot duplicates of everybody, and it's a total war. It reminds me a lot of Sonic Forces, because it's a bunch of fakes fighting against all the major characters in a war. And we even got the Chaos Council having to team up with our heroes because Nine is so out of his mind. Hey, that kind of rhymes. I like that. But yeah, it's just, it's too much. And the thing is, Nine just keeps powering up again and again because he puts the Paradox Prism back together, and he keeps powering up, creating more robots, powering up, creating more robots, powering up. It's too much, my God. It like goes on, and Season 3 is just totally a little bit too much action, because I don't have a problem with action, but it's monotonous, and they keep repeating the same thing over and over. And the thing is, we see so many different Chaos Sonics, it kind of just cheapens the whole thing about how Sonic had to fight against Chaos Sonic in New York City, and it was a real challenge for him. And then now we're just seeing a bunch of different copies of him. I feel like the show really loses its way in Season 3. It just like throws the story to the wind. And I don't know, I really thought there could have been a lot more here. Sonic is yelling at Nine, Nine is yelling at Sonic, and it just goes back and forth and back and forth. And it's just way way too dragged out. This is a fight that really just really just fills too much time with action to compensate for expanding on the story, and that's pretty much what I would have liked to see a lot more of. You know, it shows that Nine is truly evil, but he gets a redemption in the end. You know, and we get it. He wanted to create a world for him and Sonic, but I think he missed the point entirely. I mean, this guy was about to destroy everything, destroy the entire Shatterverse. I always find it funny how you can be so evil and yet it doesn't take much to turn them good in the end, because Sonic manages to talk him out of it. And I know, like, you know, we don't want to maybe kill Nine in this show, but I don't know. This was just like going too far. I mean, episode after episode of Nine causing chaos, and then, you know, it's just like, oh, well, you know what? I'm sorry for what I've done, and Sonic has to, you know, risk his life to put things right. I mean, I don't know. To me, it just kind of reaches a point where someone is so evil, can they really be turned good that fast? I mean, I don't know. It doesn't even seem like Sonic really had to try that hard. It was more like Nine was backed into a corner. You know, Sonic gets him off the main battlefield, away from the Paradox Prism. So it was kind of like Nine really didn't have much of a choice. He just kind of listens to Sonic and stops fighting back. So, you know, it's a little bit more of that, I think, than Sonic kind of talking him out of it. But I don't know. I just think it's an anticlimactic ending. So things are eventually put right. The Chaos Council, they go for one last stab at Sonic, and they end up being shot out the airlock. And that's it for them, basically. Sort of kind of an anticlimactic, there's that word again, send-off for the major villains. You know, because they're basically pushed to the side as Nine takes over the role as main villain in Season 3. Sonic finally makes his way back to Green Hill and puts things right again and manages to stop Eggman before the Paradox Prism shatters. And then we kind of get a little bit of a cliffhanger as it looks like things are about to go sour once again. And it doesn't look like there's going to be a Season 4, so I don't really know why they ended it on a cliffhanger like that. That was kind of mysterious, because as far as the news we've gotten, there's no interest in Netflix approving a Season 4 or it even being made. And quite frankly, if there's going to be a Season 4, I don't really know where they could even go with this show, because things have pretty much been put right. You know, they really kind of did blow it, in my opinion, about the Shatterverse as a whole. I mean, this was a really small feeling multiverse. We only had several locations, and what we did get was quite, you know, on the boring side, unless we were in New York City. So even though I enjoyed my time with this show, there was some interesting characters, it was an interesting story, it wasn't amazing. So I think it's best to just move on to the next Sonic animated series, because, I don't know, they could have done so much more with this. It's a bit odd in a way. It's definitely not what I was expecting out of Sonic Prime, and that's okay. Sometimes it's better for it not to be predictable, but I feel like this show did not really expand like it should have. I mean, after that Paradox Prism breaks, it should have been total chaos. You know, it's still, the show still felt very organized, like, okay, we have a location here, when really it would have been like amazing to see like different cameos from different Sonic characters. You know, we could have got all the versions of Metal Sonic, not just Chaos Sonic. You know, we could have gotten Metal Sonic, Mecha Sonic. We could have had Fang. We could have had Styx. We could have had so many different characters from the past and present. You know, imagine if the Archie characters were able to get involved. Imagine Bunny Robot and Princess Sally and Rotor coming in there, but, you know, of course, that's just a pipe dream. But what I'm saying is, Sonic does have a very big universe, and this show just made that universe feel so small and tiny. It's a missed opportunity. Not a bad show, but not a very good show either. So guys, let me know what you think down in the comments down below. What did you think of Sonic Prime? Did you enjoy this show, or were you a little bit disappointed like I was? Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and hit the dislike button if you fucking hated it. And guys, I've fixed my Patreon, so if you want to go donate over there, I'd really appreciate that. And guys, thank you all for watching and returning to this channel for more fun. I will see you next time.